Work Shoot Show fans, and welcome to another episode of the Work Shoot Show. I'm one of your hosts, Mr. Lyndon Burton. Pete and myself will be back next week to do our Clash of the Castle predictions, but like I said, we're always trying to give y'all more content. And as you know, we always have Brian H. Waters coming through. We have our guy at the No Name Wrestling Podcast, Malik, aka Narcolepsy Boy 94. And shout out to them for having me on their pod, not last week, but the week before. But our other guy that we always call on, this is my guy. Like, me and him have become friends through TikTok. I'm so happy I met this guy, and he will be on this podcast a lot more. We got Johnny Wrasslin on the pod. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me. This is always a blast. Been setting up some times, hasn't been able to fall through, so I'm very happy we can finally get back to it.
Yes, sir. I'm glad that this is our second time episode, and we got some more stuff planned that I'm ecstatic for. But tell the people really quickly where they can follow you on social media, on your Twitters and everything. So we'll get that. Because I like to make sure I plug everybody in the beginning and in the end. So go ahead and tell people where they can get your amazing content.
Well, the name is Johnny Wrasslin, like Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling, except wrestling. I'm sure wrestling fans know WRASSLIN. That's on TikTok. I'm also on Twitter, not like super heavily, but
you on that, like me and you be chatting on you're on Twitter every time there's a Raw, a SmackDown, and a pay-per-view, and AEW Dynamite.
Make sure that like my live stuff get out. Anything that big happens, and I want my people to see my immediate reactions. That's where you can follow me on Twitter, but mostly TikTok. That's where all my content is. That's where you're gonna get 100% of my opinions, whatever is going on in wrestling that I'm wanted to talk about, I'll talk about there. So Johnny Wrasslin on TikTok, that's the best place to find me.
Hell yeah. Make sure I go find Johnny. Like I said, when in the first episode we've done together, I was like, I saw this guy on TikTok. I was going in his lives and I would just watch in the beginning just to see his thoughts. And then I started chiming in. He would respond. He said he was from Louisiana. And that was just the instant, like, all right, let's chat more. And then we became cool. And he was like, all right, yeah, I'll come on your pod. And so super excited to have you. Today, we're here to discuss NXT. And I know people who are listening to this after Saturday, the NXT Battleground happened Sunday, so we won't spend too long on it, but I have to touch on this because I feel like what NXT is doing right now is amazing. NXT has one of the, would you say NXT is the best wrestling show on TV?
I'd say at least the best in America. I don't like to always say the best because I don't know every wrestling show that may be on TV because I don't watch everything.
The best
from the major ones.
Yeah, facts.
Yes, the major ones, I give it to NXT. I think it has far more consistency.
Because I've been watching TNA for at least the past, I'd say, 4 months consistently. And then before that, I would say every so often for at least a year at minimum. Yeah. So a year and 4 months, I've gotten the hang of NXT. not NXT, TNA. I love TNA, but you know, NXT has been cooking. There's a reason why TNA is like, let's work with NXT, and we'll get to that as well. SmackDown, I think, is getting better now that Cody is getting consistent stories. I think they're finally building up the people around, because to me, SmackDown is now, I want to see what Cody does. I want to see what Bianca Belair and Jade do. I want to see what Bayley does. They're finally making it more interesting. And then LA Knight. But when Cody first came, SmackDown was boring as hell. Like boring.
Yeah. And it's mostly because I think they were focused on the bloodline stuff, but not everything else that was surrounding it. Unless you're going to have a 2-hour show about the bloodline, the other stuff has to be entertaining too.
And I think they're finally starting to make that other shit entertaining and pulling the bloodline back a little bit, because that show was all bloodline. Raw, I would say when Cody was there, was the best wrestling show on TV, because you had Cody, you had Judgment Day, you had Jey Uso, you had Sami Zayn, Gunther. You had so much shit on Raw. And I think Raw is still cooking. I think Raw's highs are higher than NXT, but I think their lows are lower than NXT. That's why I'm putting, to me, it's between Raw and NXT, and I'm putting NXT a little bit above because of that. How do you feel about Raw?
I like Raw. I think one of the best things about Raw, like you mentioned, with the guys like Gunther, now you throw in Ilya Dragunov, guys like that, like the wrestling, Chad Gable. The wrestling is really great on Raw.
Top tier, but the stories.
Yeah.
That's why I said the lows are lower.
Right. Like the inconsistency is
Mm-hmm.
unfortunate, but I think the best thing that Raw has going is the IC title. The IC
Yep.
title has been the most consistent thing that Raw has had since Gunther's reign started. And without it, Raw might be a little worse, but the highs for the Intercontinental Championship picture are very high. I
Mhm.
do think Liv Morgan is that storyline is attracting
Yeah,
more
it
people now.
is.
Like people are very interested in that.
I
So yeah,
think
there's
that
been
I think they finally made the IC with Sammy, and not to cut you off, just to add to what you're saying. I think
no
the
worries.
IC with Sammy, Liv Morgan / Judgment Day. Judgment Day's back topping due to Liv Morgan. You have the IC title. The interesting thing is, I care more about what Drew McIntyre's doing than
That too.
Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre. Damian Priest as
Yeah.
a champion isn't necessarily entertaining. It's more so Drew connected to CM Punk and what they're going to do.
Right. That's I think Damien's had a decent run, but I do think it's mostly because of the supporting cast. I look at
Mm-hmm.
Cody as champion and I'm like, Cody Rhodes has been killing.
He
Right.
runs that shit over there.
His
Yeah.
supporting cast is definitely, important, but I could tell that Cody is just a great champion. Damien, it's like, okay, what if he didn't have this story with Drew? What if it was anybody else? I think you could
Ooh,
put
it
Cody
would be
against anybody on
boring.
SmackDown and it'd be pretty good. You put Damien against the wrong person and it might not be too good. I love
Facts.
Damian Priest, but I do agree that it's the supporting cast that's really making the World
Mm-hmm.
Heavyweight Championship scene super good.
And then when you look at AEW has so many problems. AEW has so many problems. I don't
Yeah,
know how Tony went from arguably not only a competitor in terms of entertainment value. Obviously, now we're not talking about money, but we're talking about entertainment value. It was easily on par with WWE, if not better, when Vince McMahon was in charge. And then when Triple H
absolutely.
came, and then Vince came, and they were doing the little mix and match. AEW was still on top, but when Triple H got sole control, AEW, I don't know what Tony did, but he started to fall off, man. And the Swerve Championship run, I think I love Swerve. I love some of the matches, but they've been doing Swerve dirty. Why is he fighting Roderick Strong? Because Roderick Strong just asked for something. Why is he fighting Kyle Fletcher? I think the way that they've been positioning the story has been bad. Will Ospreay has been good because he likes Will Ospreay. He's been giving him great storylines. The Jericho Learning Tree, some people like it. I do not. Um,
Nah.
the women's division, Tony Storm is great, but I think they're running out of people, and I need to figure out what they're going to do with them because now you have Mercedes, and she's acting like that's the top championship. Christian is good. Edge is hurt. What are you doing with Malachi Black? They have so many issues over there. I can't put the AEW over NXT either.
Yeah, and I think the biggest issue for AEW is the fact that for far too long, Tony Khan was just signing any good talent that he saw available.
Now you got too
And
much.
in doing that, now you got too much. And there's so many people who deserve more opportunities, but there's other people that you don't, because guys like the Young Bucks, guys like Kenny, your top guys, I understand not wanting them to fall because they are people that a lot of fans tune in for. And it gets hard to have that balance of new people coming in, but also making sure that your top guys still remain top guys. And that's just because it got too overcrowded.
Facts. 100%.
Best thing to do is just start letting people go.
Yeah.
I mean, I never want to, of course, I don't wish for people to
for sure.
lose their job. But I mean, the best talent, they're always like, if Malachi goes, I'm sure
He
he'll
gonna find it. Yeah,
WWE.
facts. He gonna find his way.
Buddy,
good.
Ricky, they'll be fine. Like if it's just overcrowded. It's really overcrowded. And
you're absolutely right. And I see you mentioned Ricky Starks, and that's something that pisses me off because why is Ricky Starks? You made Jungle Boy a pillar. You made Darby Allin a pillar. You made Sammy Guevara a pillar. I'm sorry, Ricky Starks is better than all three of them. I won't say MJF because MJF is the king over there, and MJF is the best over there. Homegrown talent, at least, and he's earned it. But Ricky Starks to me is the second best of homegrown AEW stars. And the fact that Tony Khan had the nerve. Did you see what he tweeted? Like, he had the nerve to say, I love Ricky Starks. I think Ricky Starks is a top 10. He needs to be back. And
he's the booker.
I was like, you booked this. You're the reason why he's not there.
You control it.
And
like when Ricky was saying that he's not injured, when people were asking if he was injured, and he's like, he's not injured. That's baffling. Because how do you have a healthy Ricky Starks available on. Ricky's one of the most total package talents.
Facts.
Like people could with talented guys like Ricky Starks, people would then say, "Oh, it's only the character. You got nothing else." But that's objectively false.
And then he's shown multiple times about how Tony has
he's
changed
got
him
everything.
Face, heel. Like that.
And that doesn't help either.
Beat all of that. He beat every bad thing that Tony was trying to throw at him. Like ridiculous.
Like, it's the fact that Ricky Starks, after all the inconsistency and imbalance with his booking, is still somebody that people want to see. Just goes to show how amazing Ricky Starks is. And if that's not enough for you to prioritize Ricky Starks, I don't know what will be.
And that's why AEW is in the problem. I didn't even break it up into shows because I think Rampage is pointless. Collision was good at a point, but now they don't know what to do with Collision. And it's like, Ricky Starks should be the champion over there. What they need to do is the TNT title needs to be Collision's championship. The main title needs to be Dynamite's championship. And then you put the international championship on one of the shows, the Continental Championship on the other show. Like, make a legitimate brand split. The fact that you have all these titles circling 3 shows, and the fact that you have 3 shows and you're not able to get everybody time, that just shows what the hell are you doing?
Yeah. All those hours in the week. Like, I don't always want to make it a WWE versus AEW thing, but the brand split for WWE is very important because I know that if they didn't have that brand split, that we would be having the same conversation about people in WWE. The brand, if you have 3 shows, you have like 6 hours of TV. There's no reason we should be going through the same people on every show.
Damn show. Exactly.
You have the time.
And then you have Ring of Honor that, like, you just throw people on, like, oh, they're not getting enough time, so we'll throw them on Ring of Honor. It's like, no one, you don't even promote Ring of Honor, brother. Like, I know when TNA shit's going on, and that's why I got the YouTube account and started watching. Ring of Honor, there's no point in me buying the streaming service because I don't know when shit's going on. And you don't promote it. It doesn't seem like you care about it. That's why I'm like, with Athena over there, I hope she leaves.
Yeah, and then Wheeler Yuta just returned to Dynamite, and I saw him with the ROH Pure Championship.
Wait, what? He has that again?
Yeah. I didn't know. When did he win that? Like,
when the hell did that happen?
Athena's the best thing in Ring of Honor by far, and she's bigger than Ring of Honor. And Ring of Honor is legendary. You know, I love the old
great history, but Tony Khan in charge of Ring of Honor has not
driving it in the mud.
Yeah, facts. He needs help. The thing is, he's booking all these shows alone, and I'm sure he has writing teams, but it doesn't seem like he's listening to them. I'm just going by perspective. I know when looking at the Triple H show, I could tell Bobby Roode has a hand in it. I could tell Hurricane has a hand in it. I could tell Jamie Noble has a hand in it. Shawn Michaels, Triple H, William Regal. It's a team effort on all 3 shows. On AEW, I can't say that. I can't say that at all. It just seems like it's Tony playing with his action figures and like which figure is going to get love on this episode. Now, before we get to NXT really quickly, because we're not going to talk AEW after this, 2 people I want to ask you about. I gave my thoughts on Swerve's reign. How do you feel about Swerve's reign?
I like Swerve as a champion. I do think his feud with Christian was good. I think it, made sense. I like
that one. That was the one that was needed.
Yeah, absolutely. But it's all about following up. I think that's another big issue for AEW. What are we going to do next? This person has all the momentum in the world. What's next? I think it might be a little too early to be throwing Ospreay as Swerve. I wanted that match. I love that match, and I'm going to enjoy that match. But there's times where you have to do things, and I think
it makes it seem like they're just making Swerve a transitional champion, honestly.
Right.
And it's like
Swerve.
Oh, no, go ahead. I'll say this real quick. And we know, we've said multiple times on this show, I don't know if you've heard me say this, but the way that Tony Khan books Black people is super questionable. And if you make Swerve a transitional champion, that just doubles down on my opinion that Tony Khan doesn't book Black wrestlers well. I'm not going to say he doesn't care for them. I'm just saying he doesn't book them well because I don't know if he doesn't care for them. I don't think he's racist. I think he's a good human being, but he just doesn't book Black people well. Look at Ricky Starks. Look at Swerve in Our Glory. Look at the Acclaim. Like, we could keep going down the list. And now Swerve, someone who is the most over person in your company, held the thing together when MJF left. Like, it's not Will Ospreay holding this together. It was whose house? Swerve's house. And Swerve held it together. And you're telling me at Forbidden Door, you're just going to put it on Ospreay and then Swerve's going to just fall by the wayside? I think that's a mistake. I think the match should happen, but it all in.
Yeah. I hope that with the whole Will Ospreay Don Callis thing, I hope that Ospreay
loses.
I know
and it breaks
have
the Callis.
Yeah, I know they have the undefeated streak going, but I mean, if he loses and it's not clean, then
and see, I would love that.
It's Will Ospreay. Like, Will Ospreay can afford a loss. It's not like he's been undefeated his whole career anyway.
And my thing is,
and it's to Swerve too. Like,
I think at Forbidden Door, if you have Ospreay wins, if you have Swerve wins, that makes Ospreay's character that much better. And then at all in, you can have you can end the Don Callis family with having him fight one of the Don Callis family at Wembley. I know that might not be the match that people want, but I think story-wise, that would benefit Ospreay's character, because I think at all in, it has to be Swerve versus Hangman to finish their story. And then when Swerve ends that, then you can have Ospreay take the belt off of him and make Ospreay the champion. But Swerve deserves to be able to beat Ospreay and then fight Hangman, have his biggest storyline at Wembley, and then you can do whatever you want with him after.
Yeah, you've had your top guys in AEW for a while. You need to make new top guys. Swerve losing the title so soon it
doesn't make him a top guy.
Right. You need Swerve to win.
It goes to show anytime when there's someone that's equally as good as him, he loses. Swerve in Our Glory versus The Acclaim. He lost. Like, that's going to be a stain on him, and she can't lose this. We know. I think we both feel the same about Ospreay. Ospreay is great in AEW. He's been incredible. MJF being back. I know I said I was going to only ask you about two people, but I'm going to throw MJF in there. How did you feel about his return?
I liked
his promo after. I like the return promo. I don't know about the promo on Dynamite.
Let me.
That's when he called out Swerve. Ospreay. Ospreay was the best part of that. He called out Okada. Said he didn't go to the gym. Swerve. He was like, you can't talk. And I was like, and you said, how can you call yourself a mogul if you go to school? I was like, MJF, that's not a good thing. We know moguls who didn't go to college, so I don't know what you're talking about. But the way he went at Ospreay was good, but the first two was like, huh? The first one hit, the second one was a little miss.
The worst thing about babyface MJF is I think he got way too comfortable with all the corny insults, and it's stuck with him now because he's does it a lot. It's coming back. I love the Ospreay part. I'm very excited.
Ospreay was the best part. Yeah,
they go at it. That's a match that I want. Okada, that's a match that I want, but like the shot at Okada was
a miss.
Wasn't crazy.
And the Swerve one was a big miss.
Yeah. But for the most part, I think it's cool. I think MJF's presence has definitely been missed.
It has.
Stars like that, you gotta have active, because he's despite how people may feel like he's gonna be the one that get people talking, fans, the crowds love him.
His first match, though, Roosh. That's interesting. It's like,
I like that for Roosh, because talking about the people who deserve more.
He does.
Roosh deserves more. He doesn't.
I don't like if MJF.
Hate to see him lose.
Yeah, which he will.
Yeah, I think the worst thing is that Cole's not fully back yet.
Yeah.
That also hurts him, because that's the story that he should be coming back to. But as long as Adam Cole can't wrestle,
it's not happening.
It won't work. But it's not the Undisputed Kingdom attacked him. He can feud with Roderick Strong.
He could.
That makes sense.
Or even Wardlow again, because Wardlow did beat him before his championship. And that would make Wardlow that much more interesting. Talk about a person Tony Khan has fumbled and needs to run away from AEW. That is Wardlow. Yeah. Wardlow and Ricky Starks need to be on the first train to WWE.
Yeah, I agree. But for MJF, I guess it's just he has to smooth back in. And, and the people footing. And Cole has to get cleared.
But okay, if Cole doesn't get cleared till the end of the year, we gotta just, and I think that's why they made him kick Adam Cole, throw the devil mask, and really bury that whole thing. Because if Cole's not back for a while, it's like MJF has to move forward, and I feel like that's why they're doing Roosh right now. But you can't continue to do mid people like that. And no disrespect to Roosh, I don't think your talent is mid. I think the way that AEW uses you makes you mid. There.
Yeah, MJF definitely should feud with somebody that's on that caliber.
Who would you want to see If there's anybody,
Um,
Osprey, I feel like it's too early, to be honest.
yeah, definitely. Swerve is too
Is
early.
like,
Osprey is too
unless you
early.
want MJF to take a loss, I think Swerve is too early.
Right.
It's tough.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's really tough.
I don't know. Because I don't think, because yes,
I would say Jay White, but I don't want Jay White to be.
I don't want him to lose.
Yeah, right. I think you nailed it. I think it has to be Okada, and then you put the Continental belt on MJF. I think it has to be Okada.
That's the only thing that doesn't feel too early, because it's either something's too early or somebody shouldn't lose. And Okada losing
doesn't hurt him. Yeah, facts. I'm with you. All right, and the final person I want to ask you about from AEW, and then we'll move on, get the NXT stuff, and then get to Clash of the Castle. How do you feel about Mercedes Moné? I love the Mercedes Moné and Willow match. That was probably my favorite match from that pay-per-view, because at first it was like, okay, I could see Mercedes trying to get her feel back. But once she let Willow go physical and she was like, all right, we're getting into it. When Willow was getting physical, Mercedes equaled that physicality. And that match felt like real emotion involved, real anger at each other. And I loved it.
Right. Well, for me, Mercedes is, of course, my favorite woman.
I agree. My favorite women's wrestler. I think she's the GOAT.
I love her. Yeah, same. For Willow, I think the best thing about Mercedes in AEW and the match with Willow showed it is that she's going to bring back that passion, because the women's division hasn't had stories that have lit a fire in people. Like
that was like the first one in a while.
Right. Like, we love Toni Storm and what she's doing as a character. Do we love all of the stories she's telling? Can people say, oh, this is a great Toni Storm feud that has happened in the past 6 months?
I think you nailed it. It's Toni Storm's character that is great. The feud, like the Serena Deeb feud, was whack.
Right. I mean, I like the match. I think they had a great match, but you would expect that. It's Toni Storm. She's a great wrestler. Serena too. But for Mercedes, I think, because Double or Nothing happens and everybody's talking, Mercedes versus Willow is happening tonight, and they're excited to see women's wrestling. And that is what's been lacking in AEW. You're excited to see women's wrestlers, but are you excited to see women's wrestling? And Mercedes has brought back that feeling. Willow is amazing. I knew that they were going to have a great match.
To me, Willow Nightingale, I don't want her to fall by the wayside. That's another one, because she, to me, is the best women's wrestler today, active. Mercedes is the GOAT. But when you talk about women that are wrestling active day in, day out, going at it, to me, Willow is the best. When she did that death match, Jay, that showed me not only can she do normal wrestling, but she can do death matches, and she's willing to go there. I don't know many women that can go there like Willow can.
Right. She's got everything. And another thing beyond just, of course, her in-ring work, that fan connection. Like, total package. She has unbelievable...
Babyface hugger Bailey vibes, honestly.
Right. She's the best female babyface in the world, I think.
Yeah, she is.
I can't think of anybody who comes close. Like, Willow is an unreal talent. That's why I wasn't so sure I wanted her to lose to Mercedes.
Yeah, me neither.
Like, I love Mercedes. I popped when she won, but
me too. But you could have kept the feud going. Like, it's like,
I wanted them to stretch it to All In. I would have had them stretch it to All In. But I guess the best thing about Willow not being champion is now we can start the agenda for her winning the big one. Because Willow's definitely someone.
She's about to go against Stat.
Yeah.
Do you have Stat win that? If you have Willow win, then she could go after the big one. But if you're having Stat win, it's like, okay, Stat's going to go after Mercedes next, or you Toni Storm. Yeah. And that's why I say I don't want Willow to fall by the wayside. And that's why I brought up how Tony Khan books black wrestlers. Willow should beat Stat, and that makes Stat angrier. And then she's like, I'm just going to go there, and goes get Mercedes, and you can have Willow be the ultimate babyface for Tony. That's what I want to see happen, but I don't know if Tony Khan's going to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the best thing to do for the Chris and Willow feud to make them both look fine is just like a couple matches. Chris could win the first one, Willow could win the
second one. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Let her win the last one so Chris can go out angry and be like, I'm going to take the heat to Mercedes. Because honestly, I don't know why they made Sky Blue be the attacker of Mercedes. That was fucking stupid.
I thought it would be Chris. I fully thought
it should have been Chris.
I don't understand that.
That it makes so much more sense if that was Chris, and then when the feud ends, if Willow wins, Chris can say, "You know what? F this. I'm going back to how it was. I got to be a killer." And she just starts surprise attacking Mercedes, and then we find out, oh, I was the one who did it all the way back then, but we wasted that for Sky Blue. And then you can have Tony Storm go up against the ultimate babyface in Willow and have Willow win. But it's like, I don't know what AEW is doing.
Yeah.
They got problems. But with that being said, like we said, NXT, that was a long way to say why NXT is the best, but we had to do it's the currently best overall shows. The highs aren't higher than, let's say, Raw's highest highs or SmackDown's highest highs or even AEW Dynamite's highest highs. But the lows that NXT has is higher, way higher than SmackDown's lows, way higher than Raw's lows, and way higher than AEW Dynamite's lows, because when those three shows in particular are bad, they're bad.
Yeah.
So with that being said, how do you feel about Battleground coming up? Give me your thoughts on, let's start off with Jordan Grace and I'm blanking on her name. I'm looking at
Roxanne.
And Roxanne Perez. Yeah. Give me your thoughts on that. Who you think should win?
I think Roxanne should win. For starters, I'm pretty sure Julia, when she comes in, I think Julia is going to dethrone Roxanne.
I do too.
The only thing about that would make me say maybe Roxy loses is because like Jordan Grace is Jordan Grace, and do you want to make TNA look bad in this case?
And my thing is,
I do think though,
if you have Jordan win the first one, you could have Roxanne, you can continue the TNA stuff and then have Roxanne beat her at the open challenge at TNA, and she takes the TNA belt. Jordan has the NXT, and then the next NXT pay-per-view, winner, you could switch back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You could have like a 2 out of 3 falls match. 1 fall is for the NXT belt. 1 fall is for the TNA belt.
That sounds cool. I didn't even think of that. I figured like Jordan loses and then they give her a win back by sending the NXT talent to answer her open challenge.
Yeah, I think that's what's going to happen. I think you know what's going to happen.
But what you said is very cool, though.
That's why we're writers.
Because
we try to do
TNA
this.
and NXT, I think you keep that going for a while.
Yes.
Because that hypes people up. People love that.
I need the Misfits
you have a story
coming over to NXT to get with Wes Lee.
Yeah, you have a great story there with TNA and NXT, and I know I would love for it to continue. So that'd be cool. I do think the safe prediction would be Roxanne, but
or even safe prediction, double count out, no DQ. They both, no one looks bad from.
I would hate if they did that. I'm never crazy.
But
I'm never
think
crazy
about it.
Those kind of finishes on paper.
Think about it. They do a banger, and then so Roxanne keeps her belt. She doesn't look weak. Jordan Grace doesn't look weak. Double DQ.
It's possible.
So all right, now let's move to one that I don't think people want this to happen, but this is what I think should happen. Ethan Page versus Trick. When the draft happened, the men, let's be honest, Shawn Michaels was prepared with his women's division for when his stars left. He still has buku women talent. But on the men's side, they are missing stars, and it's obvious. Ethan Page comes in and is not only the best talker in NXT right now, but he feels like he could be the biggest star in NXT. It's not Lexis King. Lexis King still needs work. I think Wes Lee is, if he's staying there longer after the NXT North American Championship, he can move over to the NXT main champion, but you need a heel for that. And I think the best heel on NXT is Ethan Page. I think Ethan Page, honestly, should beat Trick, so Trick has to climb again, because what do we like more? The chase. And that can make Trick a better character. That can make Trick stronger. But I feel like Trick might just win, which I don't think is the best thing for NXT right now. I think Ethan should win. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I was going to say, I do think Trick is going to win, but that's because I'm always going with the safe answer. But for Ethan Page winning, one of the best things about NXT that they've always been really good at is drawing people in with their surprises and going off the wall with things. And that's what this whole era of NXT has been, bringing people back in with the crazy stuff that you've done. So Ethan Page coming in did he sign the contract?
Yeah, he did. He's an NXT guy. He is. He signed on.
My brain's been everywhere.
That
Okay,
happened
but
this
coming
past
in,
Tuesday.
he just signed. He just signed. And he's saying the only way he would have signed was getting that NXT. The
He
way
had two
he's
stipulations too, and
right,
I
the way
hope that
he's
they bring
making
in a
it seem,
second one. Like, ooh, he could use what? Like, I hope they make it to where, Trick didn't know the full contract and he signed
yeah,
away something, and that makes him chase. It doesn't make Trick look bad. It makes Trick like, okay, he got cheated against, and it makes Ethan that much of a better heel.
exactly. Everything about Ethan's story coming into NXT and how he's been handled with the character is just something that I think if he were to win on tomorrow, it is more suspenseful. It
Yeah.
does further the story, and
It
Trick
makes
could
me want to
absolutely
watch
get
on
the title back.
Tuesday. And that's
Right,
the
Trick
thing.
could get the title back.
We want Trick to get the title back. But that, while let's say Wesley loses, because you want to keep Overfitting strong, Wesley can go and challenge Ethan. You could have all these other people challenge Ethan while Trick is going through his trials to make more stars, have Ethan make more stars, and then when you give Trick the belt back, it's like, okay, Trick's ready. There's enough stars on NXT. Ethan can move up.
Exactly. I think Ethan winning would be cool because I just like the shock factor.
Because to me, if Trick wins, it's like, okay, how does he grow from this? Because like we just said, there's not many stars on NXT, especially heel stars. Like Lexis King versus Trick, I do not believe Lexis King could win. Like, that's why I think you went and got Ethan Page.
Right.
So, or if you have Trick win the first one, Ethan Page has to win the second one. He has to.
Definitely.
But to me, go ahead.
You want to make Ethan
look good,
feel worthwhile.
Yeah,
right?
that
like
too.
He gets here, his first match is a title shot, and he immediately
wins. Yeah, it's like if that guy wins,
think you
it's like
if he wins, it's more interesting. If he loses, it's like, oh.
Well, and it makes people like Wardlow and Ricky Starks and your free agent be like, they gave him the title shot, but was it worth it?
Because Ethan was one of those guys.
If you make Ethan win, it's like all the AEW people are like, oh shit, WWE is actually valuing other stars. Like if you see the Forbidden Door with TNA, you see Ethan Page winning, that's like, oh shit, we can leave AEW. The Vince shit is officially over. Like, so it's like, I think this is big for Shawn Michaels. I think you got to let Ethan Page win. Are there any other matches on NXT Battleground that you're interested in? I'm specifically, I think you would say the North American Women's Championship, but let's see.
Yeah, I was about to say. I was going to say that one.
Go ahead. Now, this will be the final NXT thing we talk about. Give me your thoughts on that match and what you think should happen.
Well, the good thing about that match is I don't think any result would disappoint me because I'm so high on that division and I love just about every woman there. Definitely love every woman in that match. And there's so many people who've been working for so long in that division and deserve to win that championship. So I'm just hoping that it's a great match. Whatever happens. I want my personal
who you want?
Bias, I want Jada Parker to win.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know, like, if she's like fully ready. That's, to be the first champ. That's a big task. I think she's got the character down pat, but maybe in ring, there's some improvements to make. I do think Lash. I'd probably say Lash or Soul.
That's who should win. Yeah, that's who I want.
Those are my two that I think should win.
Soul Ruka's my number one. Lash is my number two. And my wild card is Jada Parker, but that's because she's from Louisiana. She went to LSU and
did she?
Yeah, bro. She went to LSU.
I didn't even know that.
Played soccer, I believe. I don't think it was gymnastics. It was soccer. But she went to LSU, and me and my homies used to see her out at Tigerland, bro. Like, when I see Jada Parker on TV, it's like, I know this girl. Like,
that's crazy.
I don't know her, but like, I know seeing her out in Baton Rouge a bunch. Sure. I know what she
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she went to LSU, so I support.
Well, I love her even more now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I support anybody from Louisiana, so it's like I would love to see her win, but I think to your point, I don't think it's time to pull that button on her because I think she is where Trick was when Trick talked to Shawn Michaels and was like, and that's when John Cena was like, you need to grow, you need to be on your, like, and I think Jada Parker needs some of that. So you give it to Soul Ruka or Lash, but the person that takes us off, Jada Parker.
Yeah, I like that.
So that's where I'm at with it. All right, let's move to Clash of the Castle, the upcoming pay-per-view. How do you feel about WWE? How do you feel that it's been going recently? We'll start off with the Damian Priest, and then we'll move to Cody. We'll start with those two champions. How do you feel about Damian Priest going into Clash of the Castle versus Drew McIntyre?
Well, like I said before, for Damian Priest, I think his biggest issue is that him as a champion doesn't feel too crazy, and it's the supporting cast that makes his reign what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I like what the Judgment Day is doing. The best thing about Liv being in that story is that she's filling the void that Rhea left, because
Mm-hmm.
Rhea was the glue for the group, and they had been obviously missing something else, and that something else is Rhea. Um, so yeah, Damian, because everything that I would say about his reign is not about him directly. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, this other person was a great rival for him. This other person is telling a great story with him. I put more focus on Drew McIntyre than I do on Damian Priest. And that's because when it comes to that World Heavyweight Championship match, I think the thing that people are most thinking is, will it be Drew versus Punk at SummerSlam somehow? Or what is Gunther going to do? Drew, Gunther, Punk,
No one
Drew,
is
Gunther,
worried
Punk.
about.
No Priest.
Mm-hmm.
No Priest.
And see, my thing
And
is,
that's the issue.
I could see Priest winning at Clash, and it doesn't matter because you know what?
Yeah.
If Priest wins, it's not because Priest beat Drew; it's because CM Punk screwed Drew,
Exactly.
and
It's
that's a
nothing,
problem.
nothing about Priest. It's nothing about
Yeah,
Priest. That's what Priest's mission. That's why I hope that eventually they go with the Priest versus Finn story,
yep.
because I do think that would feel like, okay, this is
But
Damian
even
Priest and Finn Balor.
the funny thing is, though, Jay, even when they do that, it's either going to be in between Drew and Gunther, and Damien's going to keep the belt so it won't matter, or it's going to be after when he doesn't have the belt. Because to me, there's no way we're going into SummerSlam and Gunther doesn't win unless Drew McIntyre has the belt. But again, that is not Damian
Exactly.
Priest.
Yeah, that's unfortunate because, like I said, I love Priest. I think Priest is great. He's just caught in a bad situation.
He is more of a transitional champ than Swerve because his thing is like,
Yeah.
we know he ain't winning past SummerSlam. Like,
Right.
it is what it is. Like, unless Triple H is like, no, I really believe in Damian. He's beating Gunther. Talk about a big win, but I don't see Triple H doing that because, like, how does that benefit Gunther? Like, that doesn't. If you make Gunther,
especially with Bash in Berlin happening right after, I feel like Gunther's going to be one of the faces of that show. So, yeah, I worry for Priest.
Yeah, sorry, Priest. Now, how do you feel about my boy Cody? Because I tweeted this. I'll read you my tweet, and then we'll get your picks. I'm not going to pick until next week, but we'll get your picks for Clash before we leave out of here. So I tweeted, I'm so excited for Clash. You see what happens when your champion actually competes at pay-per-views. Cody is restoring the feeling for great matches every pay-per-view. And then I put in parentheses, yes, Roman had the best overall story, but Cody is doing something different, and I'm loving it. How do you feel about Cody Rhodes' reign? And then now we're about to get an I Quit match versus AJ Styles, which is like, what the hell?
When you have a long heel run as champion like Roman did, whoever beats him has to be the total opposite. You have to flip it completely, and Cody has flipped it completely. The stories are consistent. The matches are consistent. I mean, him versus AJ, one of the matches
arguably.
of the year.
Like, I would say Roman was
definitely
more about stories, and not saying Cody's not about stories, but Cody's about making sure you're getting a 4.5 to 5-star match every match we go out.
And he's doing everything for the diehard Cody fans that wanted him to win.
Oh, this is everything.
At WrestleMania. Exactly. Not for the fact that they might hate Roman, but because they believed in what Cody can do. It's proved that completely.
I love Roman.
That was
and that's my thing. It's like, Cody, I loved Cody more. It was never I hate Roman, and this is, like you said, this is to down Roman. No. This is showing everything I believed in Cody could be as a champion is coming to fruition.
Yes, and the story with AJ is great. The way they circled back to it, I think they've handled all that really well. And now an I Quit match, insane.
That's perfect.
I hope Cody bleeds. Maybe
he definitely will. No,
I hope it goes crazy. I'm really excited for that.
He gonna get bloody and then make AJ Styles say I quit. He's probably about to beat AJ and the Good Brothers.
Seriously. Yeah, I love everything about that. And I think Cody obviously has to retain.
How'd you feel about his Logan Paul match? Because I think I gave Cody and AJ 5 stars. That was one of the best WWE matches I've seen in a long time. And then Logan versus Cody, 4.5. Arguably 5. But when Cody did that vertebraker, I was like, oh, he wrestling now. Like, we doing old school not New Japan, All Japan moves. Like, we're coming out with the Kenta Kobashi and the shit that Will Ospreay does. Oh, Cody, you're the best babyface in the world right now, brother.
Seriously. I knew Cody versus Logan was going to be great because
I didn't think it was going to be that good, though. Because
well,
I thought Logan was going to carry. Cody carried that match. Well, okay, I thought when I say Logan was going to carry, I thought it would have been like how Logan versus Roman was.
Yeah.
It was about the spots that Logan did, not necessarily the spots that Roman did, where the Cody Logan match was, oh no, Cody did equally as crazy good spots as Logan, if not better.
The reason I had a lot of hope for it is because I know Cody's great, I know Logan's great, and I just look at what Logan did with Seth Rollins, did with Roman Reigns, incredible matches like that, and it's just hard to not believe that with Cody Rhodes, someone who is as great as Seth Rollins, you know, it's hard to believe that he wouldn't be able to do the same thing. So I believed in that match. My thing, if I had any words for the match, it would have just been like the story that they told.
Yeah, the finisher was trash.
I didn't like. That was for the ending.
Yeah,
I did not like the ending.
That was for the Saudi crowd, and you could tell the Saudi prince picked. Because if they're not going to Saudi, it would have been AJ. It would have been the AJ Styles match moved up. But because it was Saudi, they did that for the Saudi prince and for the Saudi crowd. That was one of those things, like, wrestling is still supposed to be entertainment for the live crowd. So, like, we're going to give you a banger match. But that's why I gave it 4.54, because, you know, like, the match. The
ending's important.
Yeah, the match itself was 5. But like you said, the ending is important.
Yeah, but everything that mattered with that match, regardless of the ending, I think they hit it out of the park.
Yeah, and I think you could say Cody's reign is him showing, not only am I the best babyface in the world, because I think he is, I think he's going for, I'm the best wrestler in the world too, because I think Cody cares about that. Like, people are always saying Seth Rollins, Ospreay, Kenny Omega. Cody Rhodes is like, I wrestled all of them and beat them and have been good in it. Same, I'm in there. And what I love that I noticed, Cody has this thing where I didn't realize he was always doing this, the Cody rule, where when he beats someone, he takes one of their moves. I think that's a great thing to the Nightmare character of having him like a video game. When he beats something, he unlocks it, the Kimura lock. I hope he takes the from Logan Paul. I hope he takes the Buckshot Lariat. I'm very interested in what he takes from Logan. From AJ, you know, either phenomenal form, maybe a little.
I think he might hit AJ with the Styles Clash. Yeah, I think I can see him hitting AJ, especially because
he did it before in Bullet Club.
Yeah, right. And AJ hitting him with the Styles Clash off the steps. I feel like in an I Quit match that might come back around and Cody do it to AJ.
100%, 100%. All right, Sammy, Gable. I need Gable to win. You got to push the button.
See, my thing with Sammy Gable is that I wanted Gable to win at Money in the Bank because just it would establish him as a heel harder because it's in Sammy's home country. But at the end of the day, I just want Gable to be the one to dethrone Sammy. I think he has to. I think he's been a phenomenal heel. His whole story with Otis and Maxine, the Alpha Academy, it's amazing. And Sammy's the perfect baby face to contest that. I saw someone mention how Sammy is trying to make Otis better because he was in that same position in the bloodline, the person that they were trying to push around and use and whatnot. And I think everything about that has been incredible.
So Money in the Bank is before Toronto. I could see Clash in the Castle having it to where Chad Gable loses because the Alpha Academy breaks up. He builds the creeds, builds his heel stable up for the final match being career versus title. He could put it up and then he has to win in Toronto. To your point, if he doesn't win at Clash, it has to be Money in the Bank or that character's dead. So I could see, to your point, I like the Toronto angle. I could see Clash being the official final nail in the coffin of the Alpha Academy. And then with him losing, it's like, no, I got to go get people that I think, the creeds, and then he wins at Money in the Bank and then begins the Gable run.
Yeah, I like that.
I could get down with that. Because if not, it's like, okay, if he wins at Clash, how do you break up the Alpha Academy in that with him winning as well? I see what you're saying. So, but nonetheless, that besides story, wrestling wise, that's gonna be 5-star
for sure.
Like the best match of the night is either gonna be AJ versus Cody, which I think it probably will be, or Sammy versus Gable.
Yeah.
Is there any way that any other match could be the best of the night?
No.
Yeah.
Not at all. I think Drew versus Priest might be good.
But not better than those two. Yeah, no, I agree.
Not at all.
All right, the next match we'll discuss, Bayley versus Piper Niven. What do you want to see happen with that?
I just hope that Piper looks good. It's her home country. I know she's more than likely going to lose. I think she should lose. But as long as she looks great, like basically like Drew versus Roman. Well, of course, that wasn't Drew's home country, but
his home.
He was basically the hometown guy. Yeah, and he lost that match, but he still looked great for the most part. I mean, he lost and it wasn't clean. Maybe Chelsea accidentally cost Piper the match because I think that duo might split in the near future, so that's possible. But yeah, I just want Piper to look good for them to have a good match. Bayley's going to retain.
Because I don't think Bayley's losing until SummerSlam. And I think they're building it up right now for Nia to have a strong faction with Tiffany and have Tiffany be her the princess to the queen. And if you have Nia win at SummerSlam, then when the breakup happens, then it's boom, Tiffany versus Nia, which would be beautiful. Exactly. And then that also gives new champions, new stars, so Bianca and Jade could focus solely on the tags.
Right.
I would love that. So yeah, I do agree Piper has to lose. All right. Next match that we'll discuss really quickly is Bianca Belair, Jade, Shayna Baszler, and Zoe Stark versus Alba Fire and East Isla Dawn. I think they only added Alba and Dawn because that's their home countries.
Yeah.
Is there any way Bianca and Jade lose? I don't think so. Me personally.
I don't think so because I think when Bianca and Jade lose soon after, they're going to feud. And I don't think it's the time for Bianca.
I think they're holding it till right before WrestleMania, like the pay-per-view before WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a while. Jade still wrestle more matches, get more comfortable. Right. So this tag team is helping her wrestle more matches and get more comfortable.
And she's growing with Bianca's teaching her a lot, and you can see it. When Jade, what the match that for the Shayna Baszler to get Shayna Baszler and Zoe Stark in, Jade kicked a super kick, and even Bianca, the way she did it, it was just, I know people can be like, Lyndon, a super kick, that's everybody does that move, but it was the way that Jade did it at her size, the way she spun, turned, and everything. It had Bianca go, ooh. Like Bianca's going ooh, and I was like, damn, that was a beautiful super kick. It's showing how much she's growing and developing more of a style than she had in AEW. She's done way more moves in these couple of matches she's done in WWE than she ever did in AEW. AEW was wash, rinse, and repeat.
Right. Yeah, I think this tag team is very important for her right now to fully get established with the WWE style and be able to evolve more.
It's helping Bianca too. It's making her not compete because if she's not going to ever want to go heel, then it's keeping a belt on her without making her feel stale and get that John Cena treatment. She's away from it. So when she comes back to it, people can accept it.
Yeah, it's perfect for both of them. So no shot that they lose. Another one where I hope Isla and Alba look good. But yeah, and they probably won't take the pin either since it's triple.
Oh, you don't think so?
It's been.
Zoe might take the pin now that you say that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think Zoe gets pinned just to save the hometown girls.
Definitely not Shayna though. Tripp's got too much love for her to do that. So, all right, these are potential matches. I'm gonna ask you what's the chances you see them happening, and then after that, we'll get your picks for the 4 that we know are happening. So, potential match: U.S. Championship, Logan Paul, LA Knight, Carmelo Hayes. We know Logan Paul, LA Knight will happen at SummerSlam, hopefully. But is it too soon with Clash happening next week and SmackDown's the day before? Do you think that's too soon to set up that match? I don't see that match happening. I think it happens at Money in the Bank, and then the solo Logan Paul versus LA Knight happens at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's just not.
It's too soon.
I don't want to say there's not enough time, but yeah, it's too soon to like really engulf them into the triple threat story.
And what you could do is you could have LA Knight. Well, you did have LA Knight versus Carmelo Hayes, but you could have when Logan Paul comes for the episode at SmackDown this upcoming week. If he does, you could have Carmelo Hayes attack them or have something happen. Or the next time Logan Paul comes to SmackDown, you could have that happen. You know, so I agree with you. Too soon. Next match, Solo Sikoa versus Kevin Owens. They had the 6-man tag at SmackDown this past week. Could it get set up on SmackDown Friday? That's something I could see happening.
I think they'll if they do that match in the near future, I think it's just going to be on an episode of SmackDown. If they want to do it on a big show, probably Money in the Bank.
See, people think. Let me not say people think Solo Sikoa is going to win Money in the Bank, and see if he beats Kevin Owens at Clash, that propels him to Money in the Bank.
Maybe, but I know because I remember earlier you mentioned Ludwig versus Sheamus. And
that's what I was about to say. That was the next one that I
could see them putting that on the kickoff because of where it is.
And we'll find out Monday, literally.
Right. Being in Scotland, Sheamus was a big part of the first Clash at the Castle. So I could see them wanting to have him on this one. That's why.
So you're saying Sheamus versus Ludwig over Solo versus Kevin?
Yeah, just for the UK fans.
Yep. All right, and then the last one they had was Gunther versus Randy for the rematch of the King of the Ring that Triple H talked about.
I wanted that, but I don't think that one's because there's already like 5 matches, I think.
And confirmed. There is 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 5. They don't like to go over 6 to the new Triple H era. Yeah. So it's only gonna be one of the 4 we just mentioned, and you think the lead candidate is Ludwig Sheamus. But I will say there was one more that we didn't mention: Ilya Dragunov, Ricochet, and Braun Breaker. I would love for that to be on a pay-per-view, but I feel like that's a Raw match.
Yeah, and maybe all 3 of them. Nah, I don't think all 3 of them end up in the Money in the Bank match. Maybe just Dragunov and Braun.
And Braun, not Ricochet. Sorry.
Yeah. But that Fire Triple Threat, though, is going to
that would be fire
on a Raw.
Because it was reported on Fightful this week that Braun Breaker's ahead of schedule for what they wanted.
Yeah,
and they're about to start pushing him. So that's the only reason why I wanted to mention that last one, because if they're going to push him, then that's the way. And we know how they feel about Ilya. They're high on Ilya right now. So those are the 2. Honestly, the fact that they put Ilya and Braun together and Carmelo by himself, I think that speaks volumes for how much they believe in Carmelo. Because I think they ranked Carmelo 1. Before this report, I would have said Ilya 2, Braun 3. But now I think it's Carmelo, Braun, Ilya.
Yeah.
So we shall see. All right, let's get your picks and then we'll get out of here. Again, be sure to tune in this upcoming Thursday. Pete and I will give our official picks on that episode. But all right, Johnny, we got Damian versus Drew. Who you got winning? And if you have Damian winning, tell me how.
I got Damian winning with Punk making a surprise appearance, costing Drew
the match. I got you.
That's gonna happen.
All right, Bayley versus Piper Niven. I'm pretty sure I know where you're going with this, but let's just get it official.
Bayley. Maybe Chelsea calls Piper, but definitely Bayley.
All right, Sami Zayn versus Chad Gable.
I'm gonna say Gable just in case they don't want to stretch it to Money in the Bank. I'll say Gable.
But as writers, we definitely both agree that it should be stretched to Money in the Bank. All right, I know we know who's going to win this, but I got to ask you just for the record. Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill versus Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark versus Alba Fire and Isla Dawn.
Bianca and Jade for sure.
Yes, sir. And then the final match, AJ Styles, the phenomenal one, versus Cody Rhodes in an I Quit match.
Cody's going to retain. I'm very interested to see how he's going to
how much bloody this is going to get. I need it. Does he pull out the vertebraker again? I definitely feel like he might do the burning hammer. He's going to do some New Japan move, which I'm ready for.
Yeah.
So, hell yeah, Johnny. Thank you for coming on the show. Tell the people where they can follow you at. Tell them where they can follow you at on social media.
Johnny Wrasslin, mostly on TikTok. I have a link tree in that TikTok bio for Twitter. There's a Discord server you can join. But the best place to find me is Johnny Wrasslin on TikTok. That's where I be.
Hell yeah. And we'll have you back on after Clash of the Castle. So looking forward to talking to you to see how our predictions come out. All right. And for that, Work Show Chew fans, you can follow me at LibbyWT. Follow the Bros Who Think at Bros Who Think. Be on the lookout for the next Work Shoot Show episode with myself and Pete this upcoming Thursday. We'll do our predictions. And be ready for that. We may have a Brian H. Waters interview in between there. If not, it'll be right after Clash of the Castle. So be on the lookout for all of our amazing wrestling content. Until next time, have a good one and peace.